It's Monday, baby. We got Keegs, we got Kyle, we have Dan, and the Toronto Blue Jays have Dylan Cease. And Keegs, we haven't spoken to you since the Jays had their biggest offseason move, and I believe the biggest offseason move in all of baseball to this point.
That's right, and their biggest ever. Vladdy was an extension technically, so this blows George Springer out of the water as the largest free agent signing in Blue Jays history. And guys, they got this done early. I was not expecting Cease to sign now. I was not expecting him to get 7 years, but that's the type of thing that you need to do to push this across the line. When I think back through other big signings, George Springer, for example, the Blue Jays gave him year 6 to break the tie. Hyunjin Ryu, the Blue Jays gave him that final year, the 4th year, to convince him to come here. And in this market, to get a Scott Boras client to sign this early in the offseason, number one, you're doing something right as an organization. And I think that's a very good thing, a very good sign for the Blue Jays. But number two, you're probably paying the top dollar right away. And there's a real strategy to that, guys. Frankly, I like it. If you have the money and you like the guy, don't turn it into a game. Don't turn it into a bidding war. Just go get him. And this is massive, guys. This really extends the window of this rotation. Love the move, not my money.
What does this signing being done so early in the offseason say about the Jays' insistence on continuing this offseason with probably several more signings, maybe none to this nature, to this degree, unless Bichette retains or Tucker shows up? But by getting it done this early, are they sending the message like, hey, we're just getting started?
Yeah, I love the momentum, guys, because this started with Shane Bieber when he picked up his player option, another surprise in a good way for the Blue Jays. But you've seen teams over the years who make a big run and they fall short, and oof, everything comes out of it. Even in 2016, I'd compare that. Way different teams, different payroll, an older team. But I remember covering the 2017 Blue Jays and just thinking, like, what the hell am I covering? That was my first year on the beat, and I remember thinking, man, like, am I going to cover Yangervis Solarte forever? Like, this is not Major League Baseball. But the Blue Jays are in a perfect place right now. They're in a dream spot where they have money, they have young talent, they have a face of the franchise in Vladdy, and they have a farm system, which is really important. So you can get out and be aggressive and go for this and try to extend a window. Sustainable winning, sustainable competitiveness is the dream, and it's normally a pipe dream in most pro sports, guys. But the Jays have a window where they can really do this year after year, and they've sent a message to the rest of baseball because I don't buy into the Canada stuff. Players will come here if you're good and you pay them. That's old. But around American media and American baseball fans, there is still a bit of that mentality of, oh, look, the Blue Jays are trying. No, they're sticking around. This was not a miracle run. This was the sign of something that can be sustained. It was not a lucky season. It was the start of something. And when you sign Dylan Cease, I mean, my God, fellas, 7 years, 210, that is a message to the rest of baseball.
Give us some of the details you know about cease and desist. CJ Nikowski, our good friend, described him as kind of a hippie, said he's a great teammate. I discovered that he and his dad are beekeepers and he brings honey to his teammates.
Wow. That's Dan where I go very selfishly into reporter brain where I think, oh God, I'm probably gonna have to write a dumb story about that eventually. Oh man. But that's cool. And I was already going to make the kind of Kevin Gosman comparison here. He had more of a track record coming in, and the market has changed, which is why he got 210 instead of Gosman's, which was about half of this value. But a deal very similar to what the Blue Jays did with Kevin Gosman. Adding someone who can create an incredible rate of swing and miss, adding someone who has upside to this rotation and extends this rotation's window completely. I think that's really important in this sense. I think a lot of people will be reminded of a right-handed Robbie Ray. And Robbie Ray won a Cy Young in this city, so that's a very good thing. But someone who hammers away with a fastball that gets up to 97, 98, leans really heavily on his slider and his splitter. He's talked about in the media openly how he wants to learn Gosman's splitter. That's the aspirational splitter in Major League Baseball. He's going to. Like, this is a dream for Pete Walker and the pitching staff. They're going to have a hell of a lot of fun. And the the scouting report, I've gotten that. He's kind of a free spirited dude. You see the mustache, and yeah, that's more Kevin Gosman comparisons. So I think he'll fit right in, and the talent is just incredible here. This is not a Berrios or Bassett style addition. This is much more Gosman style, where he can lead the league in strikeouts like he has done for the past 5 years. I think among major league starters, it's such a talent. And if Pete Walker and the Blue Jays pitching staff can keep him in the zone just a bit more, just a little bit more, this guy has every single year top 10 Cy Young Award upside. It's a really incredible talent.
Keegan, he just left a team that was not anywhere near as strong defensively as the Blue Jays are. People have pointed to his ERA as a potential downside, but his ERA dependent of that is obviously about a run better, I think. And you just mentioned Pete Walker, who does have a reputation of getting pitchers that don't have the best control under control. Did he also possibly look at this as a best possible scenario in free agency?
I think so, guys. And Dan, I remember we talked about that a bit last week or 2 weeks ago with Shane Bieber. And that's kind of where I've landed with Bieber, why he came to Toronto. He's betting on the Blue Jays as this is his best chance to cash in a year from now, with a pitching staff and a coaching staff that are going to help him, and a damn good defense, like you mentioned, Kyle, that's going to help that ERA go down from a 3.9 to a 3.8. And that matters. That's going to make you a few dollars next time around. So with Dylan Cease, a big part of those meetings, especially for a top end pitcher, and these guys are all, whether they are really intense in the mound or a little more laid back, at heart, they are all obsessive competitors to extents that it's hard for us to understand. And a lot of the meeting process with this did go through Pete Walker and the Blue Jays pitching staff, what they had in mind for him. And Pete Walker is really damn good at taking a veteran pitcher and just turning them up a little bit. You're not trying to reinvent things. You are not trying to teach them a new pitch or make them throw with their other hand. But I point to guys like Robbie Ray, Yusei Kikuchi, when they got him to bounce back, what they've done with Gosman, what they've done with Bassett and others. I think this is a really good match. I really do. And the defense, like you mentioned, is a real factor in this. You're playing with Andres Jimenez, probably at shortstop, and Dalton Varsho in center field. That's one mistake each game erased pretty easily, and a major benefit for pitchers. Pitchers talk about that all the time when they come to Toronto.
Pete Walker has been with the Jays in a coaching capacity since 2009. You saw what happened with David Popkins when the Jays brought in a new hitting coach. Is it not saying get rid of Pete Walker, but is it time for a new voice with the pitchers?
Pistol Pete. I think the Jays have done a really good job of bringing in assistants around Pete Walker, and they've added a lot of younger bullpen coaches, assistant pitching coaches who have really modernized that group. And those are the guys who will go much heavier on data, on the iPad, on the shape of the pitch. It was doing this many inches, this many RPMs. It was doing this out of your hand. What Pete Walker is really good at, in my experience, and this is 5% of scratching the surface because these guys know a little more about pitching than me. But Pete Walker is a great interpreter. And he has the old school element that pitchers like Gosman and Scherzer and Bassett absolutely love. But he's also able to interpret and modernize himself with this data, I think. And that's why he's been able to work with veteran pitchers. If you were working on a rebuilding team, I think there's a good argument for that. Go young, go data driven. But the Blue Jays, as an organization, their entire model right now seems to be that you pay for pitching. Now, when Trey Savage comes along, cool, whatever, let him happen. But most of the time, lately, they're paying for pitching. Barrios, Bassett, Gosman, Scherzer, on and on. They're going out and buying pitching around age 30. And they don't need Pete Walker to overhaul them. They just need that little bit extra. And I think he's done a good job in that department. They need more wins and more success stories, certainly on pitching. But the health is a big part of it as well. They've nailed the health part. They have not had to lose too many games to starting pitching to the IL. So Pete's one hell of a run, man. I remember watching him out of the bullpen growing up with
Mhm.
that goatee was a little darker back in the day on
It
Pete.
was.
So speaking of buying pitching, what's next this offseason? What's the priority? Is it closers? Because now we hear that obviously Pete Fairbanks has entered the conversation as of this morning, and he's another guy coming out of the pen.
Yeah, the bullpen's a big one, guys. And Ryan Helsley, who went to the Orioles, I like that deal for Baltimore, by the way.
Mhm.
He was someone the Blue Jays were interested in this offseason. Going back to the trade deadline, they had talks about Helsley. The price was just a bit much. Any back end, top end relief arms, they're going to be in on this offseason. And of course, Fairbanks is included in that. Devin Williams is another at the top. Edwin Diaz, that market's going to get a little big. We'll see. But the Blue Jays right now, that was still the most interesting answer that we got from Ross Atkins at the end of your press conference when he was asked, "Is Jeff Hoffman your closer?" And he said, "Well, the great thing about Jeff is that no matter what, he'll go along with it." And I said, "Ooh, okay." It's like if you asked your girlfriend, "Are we still good?" And she said, "Well, the great thing about you is that even if we're not good, you'll go along with it." And I thought, "Oh God, okay." So the door seems pretty open to improving the actual back end of the bullpen. I don't care much, guys, about the number 6, 7, 8 bullpen spots. I trust the Blue Jays to handle those now, especially that they're developing guys like Mason Fluharty and Braden Fisher. That'll take care of itself. And if it screws up, then you've got the trade deadline. You go get a couple of guys. The important spots are the closer and those couple of setup men. Jeff Hoffman's got to be somewhere in there. Louis Varland is part of that. Who's Jimmy Garcia next year? I'm not totally sure. If they can add one more legitimate closer caliber arm, that's huge going into next season. We saw through the Dodgers World Series and the Mariners ALCS, every single game is going to be close. It's all going to come down to those little decisions late in games. I think another good lefty would be beneficial for the Blue Jays as well, but probably a power righty. And on top of chasing Bo, chasing another big bat, I think the bullpen is that place where you can get greedy. You know, the rest of their lineup, the rest of their roster is pretty damn good, but you can get greedy in the bullpen. That's when you're already a jacked up team. Make your bullpen better. There's always one more spot for that. And given that there are 4 or 5 closer options on the market, they can probably wait for that market to come to them a little bit as well.
You mentioned the Orioles, and whenever the Orioles come up, I always have to check once a year because I don't have a very good memory. They are paying Chris Davis until 2037.
Oh
Um,
my God.
yeah. What's the latest on Bo Bichette? The Yankees are in the mix now.
Isn't that the ultimate fear factor? Him going to the Yankees and
Yeah.
just
Where he got injured.
he would slap so many opposite field line drive home runs around that cheap little foul pole. Just things that were line drives in Toronto. He'd have 35 of them. It would it would unfortunately be a pretty good hitter's park for Bo. Now, this market, guys, it remains the most interesting one in all of free agency to me because, like we've talked about, I think teams are going to be all over the place on Bo Bichette. Now, in Toronto, I think this is a better roster if he's a second baseman. That is not a knock on Bo Bichette. It's kind of like relievers, guys. Like when you get moved to the bullpen, it's not a downgrade anymore. Relievers get paid, second basemen get paid, and as long as Bo is paid properly, I don't think he's going to kick up too much of a stink where he plays defensively. Second base makes a lot of sense. Third base does not to me. I don't like his arm at third base, but second base makes a ton of sense. And when Jimenez needs a day off, Bo can still be a shortstop. Let it rip. Everyone's happy. But this is going to be story number one, guys, going into the winter meetings, which start in, my God, 1 week. This offseason is so short when you cover a team that goes to the World Series. 1 week, we will be in Orlando at the winter meetings, which, man, if you guys like watching a conference room full of people dressed the exact same, refreshing Twitter together, God, do I have a place for you. And the, the winter meetings, people like to make it sound like a lot happens there. I don't know if it often does. But Bo is one that could certainly stretch beyond that. He could be a slower market, the most interesting guy on this market, I believe. The the question for me, guys, is what's his average annual value at this point? So if he is getting, let's say, an 8-year deal, I don't think you want Bo until he's 40. But if you're going to sign him until he's 35, there's on an 8-year deal, Are you comfortable giving him 25 a year, 200? Is that the ceiling of where this goes? Maybe. You probably want to live more in the 22 to 24 range, but again, not my money, and I think Bo is worth it. Guys, I think the Blue Jays should be making every effort in the world because he means a lot to this team, and he is much like Marcus Semien, guys. When I covered him, like Bo is very much a quiet leader. Like no one in the world has taken more ground balls or more batting practice rounds than Bo Bichette over the last 6-7 years in Major League Baseball. He's a machine, and I think that any organization that has him in that clubhouse is immediately better.
Baseball winter meetings, I envision the scent is a lot of cologne. Am I right?
Yeah, lot of cologne, a lot of sad lobby sandwiches out of whatever resort it is. But yeah, guys, it's a massive ballroom normally for the media, and the size of a football field. This huge ballroom inside with desks after desks after desks. And every year, I kind of growing up, I thought that people were really working hotel rooms and doing stuff. No, you show up, and I open my laptop, and I think, oh God, okay, this is kind of what I do at home. But once a day, we'll go up to a suite that the Blue Jays have rented, and we'll speak to Ross Atkins. And it's kind of swept like a crime scene. There's whiteboards, but they've all been completely scrubbed. There's no paperwork, no nothing, like no clues. It's a lot of show. It's a lot of eyewash, but it's everything's important. It's a fun time.
Keegan, I have to ask, you have such a shortened off season. Are you still able to post up on your couch on the weekends and catch some football? I mean, it started last Thursday with the American Thanksgiving holiday, but how was your weekend from a football viewing perspective?
Beautiful. I didn't even have the stress of the Packers this weekend after they once again proved their superiority in the North on Thursday. Jordan Love, they finally called a game that allowed Jordan Love to throw a football and not go run pass. Thank God my blood pressure has been saved by that. But nice day on the couch yesterday, fellas. Another nice one coming tonight. The Bills, who are they? I don't know yet. Are they just James Cook? Maybe. But I had a lot of fun watching that Buffalo game. I feel like they're going to limp into the postseason, and it's going to be the most unenthusiastic postseason watching experience I've ever had. But I'm hoping they show me some life, guys, because I'm like a Bills number 2 or number 3 type of guy. So many of my friends are Bills fans. I want the Bills to do well, and God, do I love James Cook. But
Yeah.
I hope they get Josh Allen some help this offseason.
Patriots, they play in the Monday Nighter. We'll see. Well, again, they've proved that they are for real. But how about the Bears?
Yeah.
It's tough to watch. It is difficult to watch, man. Caleb Williams. Would you please just stand in the pocket and make a throw? My goodness, not everything has to be Madden, Caleb Williams. But unfortunately, it's working now. All of these spin out throws, because that was always my thing with Caleb Williams last year watching him. And I loved watching the mistakes as a Packers fan. I was thinking, here we go again, another failed quarterback in Chicago, where if his first read is not open, he immediately presses the circle button and it's spin move, spin move, spin move out of that pocket every damn time. Now it's working, guys. And man, what they're doing with Burden, I think Colston Loveland is one of my favorite players in this league already. I love a big, mean tight end like Tucker Kraft. And I think Colston Loveland is going to give me nightmares for a decade as a Packers fan. Adunze on top of that, who's going to be a lot better, especially when his dad stops talking. That's a scary team, guys. And man, I'm used to the Bears just being a non-factor in the North.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Packers have this nuisance, this Ben Johnson-led nuisance in the division. It's a little scary, guys. The North, the NFC there's a lot of tough roads in there. When I look at the AFC and who's chasing down the Bills, unless the Chiefs win out, it's not all that threatening. I'm almost surprised today to look and see the Bills still in the playoff spot. It feels like they're worse than their record almost, but the NFC, my goodness, that is a scary spot.
Keegs, I'll put this to you because Dan and I have asked just about everyone that comes on the show because we don't know either. Who's the best team in the NFL? Because going into this weekend, it was the Rams maybe, but now it's not the Rams because the Rams lost. It's almost impossible to have a team at the front of this race right now.
Exactly. And I would hate to be a guy who very cheaply put the Rams on a couple of parlays to bump them up a bit. That would be a tough day. But man, oh man, when I'm looking through
it's new blood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Broncos last night were not dominant. Like, if you're having Marcus Mariota almost take you, a 2-point conversion away from beating you, that's tough. The Patriots guys I've been slow to come around on because I grew up with so many Patriots fans, friends, and in the Tom Brady era, that when that finally ended, I just kind of refused to accept that Drake May was this next great QB, but he might be. It's scary what's happening in New England because they're so well coached and that defense is looking so good. But I would have said, like you, Kyle, the Rams coming into that, and then Carolina, little Bryce Young is going to beat up on you. That is tough, man. When we get to the postseason, I think this is going to be an awesome postseason. Honestly, the Patriots might be where I'm landing with this right now. Of course, the obvious answer being the Packers, who will go on a hero run in January. But this is wide open, fellas. I thought the Bills would be up there. Earlier in the season, the Colts had all that momentum, and they have fallen off. But this is
Here
this
are
is
the
tough.
here are the updated odds right now on Bet Rivers. The Rams are
Yeah.
still number 1 at plus 450. The Seahawks plus 850, number 2. Your Packers plus 900, number 3. The Eagles the same, and the Bills plus 1,000. So that's where the books at least think things are settled
Wide
right now.
open.
No,
A lot of tight
no
spreads
Chiefs.
in the wild card too.
Yeah.
The no Chiefs is tough, guys. Like I
But it's needed.
maybe now's the time
Needed.
to jump in on a Chiefs bet. I
They're
don't
still
know.
ninth. They're still ninth.
Man, I'm still always such a believer in just betting on coaches in the postseason, but eventually the magic runs out, and this has been a weird one for them. I keep expecting it to explode for them, but just not there.
Hey guys, I forgot to drop the biggest Jays news from the weekend.
Oh,
It was Ernie Clement Day in Rochester, New York on Saturday.
Rochester. My goodness. What a
Like that is just great.
What did
I
they
He's
do?
the
love
most
stuff
beloved
like that.
Blue Jay. It's I know that Vladdy has more fans, but Vladdy also has everyone has an uncle who thinks Vladdy should run harder or something. Does Ernie have the highest approval rating? That's what I'll put to you. I think he does. I think that Ernie Clement has that 99.9% approval rating of Jays fans, man. I for all the people I wish they had won for, Ernie's at the top of the list because he would not have paid for a beer the rest of his life in this city, that postseason he had, So I hope he keeps this going. I hope he gets to a couple big arb raises, to another contract, because for all the reasons people love the guy, it's legitimate. It's who he is, and he's such a quote machine too, guys. He had so much fun with the postseason. Remember that line where he dropped we are uncommon men? It was after the Game 4 win in LA, and he had this big scrum of media around him because there's way too many media. And he said, "We are uncommon men. Common men would have shown up and flopped out there, but we are uncommon." And I showed up the next day, and he called me over. He said, "Keegs, you didn't come over here. You're too cool for me now, eh?" And really, I just don't like the crowds. And he said, "You see that? I dropped a little Herb Brooks, a little miracle on them, eh? A little uncommon man." And I was like, "You're just having fun with this stuff, man." He was so excited to let me know that he had dropped a line from Herb Brooks in Miracle on a bunch of American media who didn't get it. And dude, he's just a showman. He is everything that people love, man. I hope he sticks around a long time.
Vladdy may have more fans than him, but Ernie Clement has the record for most hits in a single postseason, and you can't take that away from him.
Don't forget
And
that.
there's no Vladdy Day in Rochester, New York.
That's right. Not yet.
Beat it, Vladdy.
I'll go to Wegmans after. Thanks, Geeks.
You got her, fellas.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll quickly touch upon the Toronto Maple Leafs, who continued their road trip, and they demolished the Penguins on a road trip that Pierre Maguire says will make or break the season. And I bet you, well, it's shaping up to be classic Leafs. It'll be like a 500 road trip.
It's almost certainly going to end up at 500, Dan, though I did watch almost the entirety of that game on Saturday night, and I don't know what to say beyond the fact that they look pretty good. Pretty good from the sense that they needed that offensive outburst very, very, very badly. They needed a 7-goal game against a good team like they got on Saturday night. It's not a predicator of what will happen moving forward, but they look pretty good, and they got a lot of pucks in the net, and that's something that's been lacking all year long. Oliver Ekman-Larsson still riding a 9-game point streak, But this is a 1-game-at-a-time team right now, and they need to put that performance in the rearview mirror and just move forward with something similar. in the next time out.
Yeah, because they have the Panthers and the Hurricanes to finish up the
Yeah.
trip on Tuesday and Thursday. And the Panthers are just waiting.
They can't wait. It's
Like,
their first meeting this season too, I believe.
And the players always say, like, it doesn't matter who comes in. Yes, it does.
It does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it absolutely
It matters to the Panthers. It matters to the Leafs. All right, we'll see you back here Wednesday.
You shall.
Let's do it then.
Do it then.